Welcome back to another episode of Voices of the Goddess, where brilliant women come to take a break from their successful and sometimes overwhelming lives to level up, live free, and create abundance.
If your hectic life has you feeling a bit lost, if you're building your career, brand, or business, or if you simply want to get the most out of life, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Julietta Wenzel, founder of Body and Soul PT and Soul Candy.
And I'm your co-host, Graciela, professional portrait photographer specializing in boudoir and personal branding.
Whether you're relaxing with a cup of coffee or running around town, we've got you.
Whatever you're doing, thanks for bringing us along and sharing a laugh.
Here comes the magic. Hey, Graciela.
Hi, sunshine. It's a day. It's so rainy today.
I'm so happy to be the sunshine in the storm.
You are. Just look at you. If you guys aren't watching on YouTube, you need to hop on and look at Julietta. Physically, she's glowing. I
am glowing.
Yeah. I mean, it could just be her Wisconsin skin. I don't know. The blonde hair, the glow within, the goddess glow. You know what I was thinking the other day?
What were you thinking?
I was thinking, that we're kind of like the modern goddess. Like, what do you think of that name? Not to rename our podcast, but, just like this is, we're like the modern version, right? So, you know how like before, we would say like ancient wisdom, right? Because that's the truth. Like the concept of community, the concept of living authentically, like these are all things that have been around for millennia and we're living it today, but we are living it in a very modern way, right? Like sometimes I think, oh my gosh, are we too like, crystals and essential oils? And also, like, I want people to know, like, yeah, also, I drive a car and I eat meat and I run around and chase my kids and I drop F-bombs and I've got a business to run, So it's not just the woo. Do you know what I mean? It's the modern woo.
I think modern goddesses is a great way to put it. And I know some people cringe when we use the term goddess. Like, I know some people are like, think like it's sacrilege and, we're all going to hell because there's only one God. And what are we talking about goddesses? And there is a higher power, whether you want to call that the God, the goddess. I don't think it's a male or a female being. It's just the source of everything that is. And so it's not to say that we are goddesses to be worshipped, but it's just an acknowledgement of the power inside every woman. And no matter who you are, no matter what you do, the goddess is within you. And it's time to unleash her and bring her magic to the world.
And, I'm glad that you said that because I think when you do hear the word goddess, I think there's a lot of old religious baggage that triggers that idea, right? That somehow the word goddess has something to do with worship. And please, by all means, look at this. This is the word. That's not what this is about. It's not even about authority or anything like that, right? It's just about acknowledging what we have and what we can create,
I was going to say, it's honoring the power, the specialness that's inside of you, that's inside of every one of us. And just opening people's eyes to see their true amazing self.
It's so hard to do, right? Like it's so hard to believe like, oh, I'm amazing too, right? I could not for anything, but I could use a little background music. Can I get a little, that way I sound like extra inspirational?
Oh, you can. I can do that.
No, I do love that little music. But yeah, like, oh, there we go. Right? Perfect. So sometimes I think, who, like the one phrase that always sticks out to me is, who am I to be great? That's definitely my personal Achilles heel. And I don't know if any of our listeners share in that. And if you do, please don't leave us out here hanging feeling like we're hanging, come into the Circle of Goddesses group and chat with us. But I think that's the hardest part, is to believe that you're magical. And I don't know why, because I think we're born that way, right?
We are born magical, and I think babies know that they're magical. Like, you just see them and they know it. But my favorite tool, I think I've shared this on some other episodes before, but my favorite tool for getting people to understand how amazing they are. I'm very fortunate. There's a lot of people out there that think very highly of me and sing my praises and compliment me. And I love to remind them that whatever they see in me that's wonderful, they can only see it in me because it exists in them too. So when you tell me I'm amazing, know that I'm only amazing because you are too.
It's absolutely true. You're so right. I mean, you can only identify what you already have, right? Like, if you see something that you've never seen before, you don't know what it is. But if you see something amazing, it's because you know what amazing is, right? You have that thing too. You have that experience too. And I love that.
And I love you. So in case you haven't guessed already, those who are tuning in right now, our guest didn't show up.
Yeah. I hope everything's okay.
I do hope everything is okay with her. And, but life happens. And we're just here showing, like, no matter what happens, it's going to be okay. You just roll with it.
We're just going to keep rolling. I told you, I don't know, I might have told this story a long time ago, but the one of my daughter playing Simon, the
thing with the lights and you push
the thing with the lights and you follow the pattern. So I'm driving them to school. So many of my stories about my kids in the car, but it's true. This is my reality. So they were little, maybe like, I don't know, 6 or something. And she's sitting right behind me in the car and she's playing this game and it keeps going, like she keeps getting it wrong, And inside I'm like, oh my gosh, my poor daughter is experiencing failure. Like, how many failures until she like has poor self-esteem? What's going to happen if she keeps failing, right? Like, all of these just worries are just spinning through my mind as I'm driving down the road. And so I cannot help myself. And at some point I go, oh, sweetheart, I'm like, it's okay. You'll get it. And she looked at me like with this strange look on her face, like, what's your problem? And what she said was, Mom, that's just how the game is played. And I was like, mind blown. Like, this girl just unlocked level 12 of existence, right? That the wins, the losses, the joy, the sadness, the dichotomy of everything. It's just how the game is played. What?
Amazing that she has that at her age. That's so wonderful. I look at, we talk about perfectionism all the time, and it stopped me so many times in my life. Like, if I knew I couldn't do something right, I wouldn't do it, because it's not acceptable for perfect Julietta to fail. And I didn't know that failures weren't failures. They're just opportunities to learn and grow. And going, dang, I could be so much more amazing if I had allowed myself to fail.
The best part is like, the best part is like, it's all bullshit, because your perfection is not even perfect, right? Like, if I were really as perfect as I think I'm striving to be, I would be so much not here right now. Like, I'd be an enlightened being right? Living a different existence. Like, even what we think is perfect is not really perfect, and it's only perfect within the limited scope of knowledge that you have at the time that you're doing it, right? Like, the other day I entered, I rarely enter competitions and things like that from a photography standpoint, but the other day someone really pushed home the point that it's a good opportunity to grow, right? So like, when you submit your pictures to certain competitions, they give you feedback, or you watch and listen how they critique some of the winners and things like that, and you learn, So I was like, all right, here's something I haven't done in a long time. So I submitted a whole bunch of images, like maybe 12. 10 of them won awards, right? And 2 of them did not. But all 12, I think, at the time when I submitted them, were amazingly perfect images, right? So set aside the fact that all of this is relative, right? What's perfect to me is not perfect to you, right? You know, I think cellulite in a picture is just fine. Other people think cellulite in a picture makes it a failure, right? Like everybody's got their own story. But it was interesting to pick something that when I shot it, I felt was perfect. And then to look at it again and say, you know what, it wasn't quote unquote perfect, right? By whatever arbitrary decision that is. But the impact of each of those images remain the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, maybe on a technical level, something could have been better, like maybe the focus or the composition. I don't know, whatever tiny little thing, you know, that they picked up on. But I know that the people in those pictures' lives changed because of the picture that I took. Like I helped them reach their next level. So point being that perfect doesn't have to be perfect, and less than perfect still moves the needle forward. It still changes lives. It still makes a difference.
Wow.
Man, this episode is going to be called The Mind-Blowing Session.
Right?
Well, it's true.
Yeah. So we announced earlier that we're planning a retreat for the goddesses.
Yes, we are. I'm loving this. You know, the planner in me is like jumping up and down.
Well,
I'm like, do a spreadsheet. Yay.
I'm just so excited to me, this is like next level. We're taking this to the next level because yes, we know we get the messages from people like, you know, that episode was just what I needed to hear. And that was perfect timing for me. And so we know that this podcast is supporting people. It's changing people's lives, and like there's a next level. So to be able to bring these game changers, to bring just that next level to our audience is so exciting to me. I know we're not revealing too many details yet, but it's going to involve international travel. It's going to involve experiences that will transform you. Is that a good way to put it out there?
Absolutely. And you know what? You know, I don't want to say like it's going to change you, right? Because you're always you. And that's, you know, one of my big goals is just kind of for myself and for everyone else, just realizing that everything you have is already inside of you. And it's the hardest thing in the world to do, right? Because it's so easy for me to look elsewhere when it's already there. But we talked in one of our other episodes about coaching, right? Like sometimes you just need that coach to show you where it is, right? Because it's in there, but if you can't access it, you can't access it, right? Like these things happen, right? Like where is my genius? I can't find it right now. You know, when I look at our listeners and our folks that come to our events and things like that, I'm like, okay, what do all these people have in common? And the truth is that they're brilliant. They're brilliant. They're strong. They're overachievers. They're parents and not parents, and dogs and no dogs, and travelers and not travelers, and introverts and extroverts. And it's like, it's such a combination, but at the end of the day, it's people that are looking to move forward in their lives one way or the other. Right. And I think we're constantly doing that. And sometimes you just need like a sister's help, you know, that's what I'm hoping we do.
Yes. We are here to be that sister that helps you move forward, and whatever that looks like for you too. I look at some of the overachievers that we've interviewed, and much of their overachieving has been the things that they thought they should do, things that their family wanted them to do, their parents wanted them to do, their community wanted them to do, and it wasn't always necessarily what they wanted to do. And just really want to, like, right now, I'm giving you all permission to do what you want to do. Don't do what other people want you to do. Do what you want to do. What?
I think it's part of, I think what we're talking about is the natural progress of just being a person, right? Because if you think about it, when you're a baby, you need somebody to tell you what to do next. When you're a toddler, preschooler, elementary school, middle school, even high school, you still need someone to tell you what to do next. And so parents, doing the best they can, give you their idea of what they think you should do next, right? And then you get to this point, a different age for everybody, where you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be having my own opinion. But no one ever gave you a minute to check in with yourself, right? Because by that time, you're getting married, you're paying bills, you now have a mortgage that you have to handle. And so you don't have time to sit and dream because you got to work, you know? I wish we lived in a little bit slower society so that we could kind of, you know, grow up even slower, right? They say that out of all the animals in nature, we take the longest to mature. And I kind of feel like we just need a little more time.
I just have to say, Graciela, I'm like, hearing this come out of your mouth, I love hearing you say this, because you talk about it all the time, how you're the go, 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 go. And you want slowness. And I
do
want that for you.
It is, but I have a hard time, and I don't know if anybody else can identify with this, but like, I have a hard time balancing taking it slow and doing the things that I have to do, right? Like, I do have to pay the mortgage. I do have to pay the insurance on my car. I have to, you know, make dinner and get to places, and I want to support my friends, and I want to do certain events, right? How can I do that and slow down at the same time? So that's one of my, you know, I keep saying that's my Achilles heel, but I think I'm up to like 20 Achilles heels.
But fun to like put that out to the universe, that I want more slowness. I want to be able to savor the moments. I want to have the time to daydream. And so universe, create that for me.
Or we are creating that. That's what we're doing. Boom.
I appreciate so much what, you know, you look at all the ages that came before us, and we look at, you know, all the developments that have come along, and life is changing faster than it's ever changed. And when I look at, you know, what things were like when I was a kid and what we have available to us now, the developments are just amazing. It's incredible. I appreciate all that. And we get to slow down. It's not necessary for us to keep moving at the speed of light. It's time to slow down.
Yeah,
I make all these spaces and speak slowly just to drive you crazy, Graciela.
You know, I think about for me, the way that I have to construct space in my life is by getting away. Truly, like when I want, you know, even if I have a whole day with nothing on my calendar, just sitting at my desk is not a slow experience, you know, just the opposite. I always have a really long list of things I want to get done. So for me to truly slow down and be creative and brainstorm, I need to go away, right? Like this retreat is just as much for me as it is for those that we want to bring with us and hopefully guide and lead into, you know, discovering themselves like that again. Because there's just so many distractions. And unless you have a chamber of solitude in your home, you know, I mean, I have a whole studio space here, and believe me, I come here and I dedicate time to me in my space. There's something different about just leaving town, right? Like, because then I can't worry about what should be done. Do I need to clean this, or do I need to do that laundry, or, you know, whatever it is. So I love going away. You know, we have our event this year. I'm also going to go to Phoenix and go to a photography retreat. Well, not retreat, but conference, even a conference, you know, but that's like, we should make the distinction between conference, workshop, and retreat, right? Like we're definitely doing a retreat. We're not doing a conference. This is not a workshop.
Absolutely. It is a retreat. And that also, what you were talking about too, talked about it on another episode, but we need to get to the cabin because there's no there's no Wi-Fi. There's like, to get cell service, like you have to go walk around, and like there's this one little space near the garage where you can park yourself and get a phone signal to talk to someone or send a text, but like you're completely cut off from the world. And it's magical to go to that. When we were, just think about when we were kids, like when I was a kid, we didn't even have answering machines yet. Like when you called, either someone was home or they weren't home.
Right.
And there was no leave a message. There was no send. That like came later. And nobody expected you to get right back with them. And it was okay to wait.
Yeah. And that's totally something that's here in the millennium right now. Like with texting and emails, it's like, oh, I sent you a text. Why haven't you replied? And it's like, I wasn't sitting next to my phone watching it. Like other things were happening, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to chilling for a bit. So did you check your passport? I'm up to date. You up to date?
I'm pretty sure that my passport's okay, but I do need to check because it has been a while since I looked at it. I think it expires in 28. But
that's funny. Me too. That's funny.
But I do have menopausal brain, so my memory is not always accurate. So.
Well, I will tell you that I'm glad that we are building in so much downtime, that we're going to build in so much time for reflection, some indulgent things, and some I don't want to say teachings, but some sharing, things like that. I think it's going to be a really cool event.
I think it's going to be really magical. The experiences that we're building into the retreat are super cool and magical, and I'm really looking forward to whatever group that we, whoever decides to come along with us on the journey. I know the energy of each woman that joins us is going to create this once in a lifetime magical thing that that we'll share together, that will never be forgotten.
Yeah. And I think that, especially for, folks that are like, I've been too busy to make friends, because that can happen when you're so busy. Like my BFF, I rarely get to talk to her, like we just catch up whenever we can, because life's always so crazy busy. So I think this will be a really good opportunity to create the community that we've always been talking about, that where you get to complain about the things you want to complain about, and rejoice about the things you want to rejoice about, and talk very frankly about the things you need to talk about, right? Whatever that looks like for us. And we'll put some healing stuff in there too, we'll put some healing experiences there. So anything that's kind of been gnawing at you, or, you know.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
So what else do we have coming up? We are super booked out. We are booked out like through, I think August.
Yeah.
We have some really interesting guests coming up.
We might even be booked into September at this point. And I always laugh because I remember at one point thinking, like, at some point we're going to run out of women to have on the show. And I can't tell you like how many amazing women and it's like the universe is just going, well, we just got to keep connecting her with more people, because the list is so long. I've like shared the booking link with I think 5 more women recently.
Yeah.
And so it just keeps growing. And if there's anybody out there that's listening to the show that wants to be on, just reach out. Because like we always say, everybody has a message to share that somebody out there needs to hear. And if you need a platform to get your message out there, just reach out. We'd love to have you.
On a different note, because, I like to watch a little Netflix while I'm doing my editing. Have you watched Pretty Baby, the Brooke Shields story?
No.
I just watched it last night. It's like 2 long episodes, so it's like part 1, part 2. But she's so raw and so real about everything, and she touches on a lot of trigger warning type topics. But it really is very interesting. And also, you know, I forget how old she is. I think Brooke Shields might be like in her 50s now. I don't know. I'll ask Siri later.
I think she's around my age.
Right? So I don't know, like I experienced Brooke Shields. That's probably right, because I experienced her like being a little bit older than me, but you know, like she was in my awareness, but I wasn't like obsessed with her. But man, she really was like a beautiful baby, like from day one, like ridiculously gorgeous. And so it's easy to see how she became so famous so fast, and it was so destructive. You know, I watched an interview between her and Drew Barrymore the other day, and I would love to be interviewed by Drew Barrymore, only because when she sits on the couch next to you, she turns to face you instead of facing the audience, and she sits crisscross. So she's like looking directly at you. She's like bonding with her subject. And her and Brooke Shields were really bonding over what it was like being a child star, you know, and the Me Too movement, and, you know, the guilt that they felt when Me Too came out, and they were both saying that they weren't even really sure how to participate because they wanted to, but they felt so much undue responsibility for, quote unquote, their part in their trauma, which is part of the trauma, you know. It was just really interesting, and kudos to Brooke Shields for laying it all out on the line. I mean, she talked about her relationships, and she talked about losing her virginity like at, I don't know, 20 or something like that. She talked about really severe postpartum depression. She talked about where she is today. Just really, really an amazing show. And I think what I love the most is, like I said, you know, the more she shows that to everyone else, the more everyone else can acknowledge it for themselves, you know. Like, I think she's moving everyone forward, you know.
That's, you know, once things are revealed, when they're taken out of the darkness, that's when they can heal. As long as we're keeping things suppressed, it just sits inside there and festers and does more harm. And, you know, I'm very grateful for everyone that speaks out and leads the way and tells their stories, because then it gives other people permission to share their stories and heal their stories as well. And I can't remember what I was reading recently, but I always say that everything that you heal in you helps heal the collective, because we are all one, and there's this collective consciousness. And you know, some people aren't ready, they're not strong enough, they're not brave enough to step up and heal those things in them. But when someone else can come and do it and lead the way and start that process, it's not only a gift for themselves, it's a gift for humanity. And so I'm always super grateful for everyone who can come out and heal a piece of them, because it heals us all.
You're absolutely right. I can't tell you how many times I have felt so weighed down by my own story and my own trauma. And then I hear someone else, you know, tell their journey, and I'm like, oh man, if they could do it, I could do it, right? Like, if they survived that, I can survive this. And, you know, oh, that's how they did it, right? That's another thing, right? Like, I did an interview the other day, and toxic positivity came up, you know, and I was like, you know, feeling good and being positive isn't just repeating happy phrases to yourself, right? You can't be on fire going, I'm great, everything is fine, because you're not, right? Like, you know, acknowledge, if we all acknowledge, some days you're really phenomenal and some days you're not, and some days you're super low, and some days you need someone to help you out, and some days you're the one that's helping someone else out, right? So like, I guess if I could, like, what I would want for everyone, for all of our listeners, is to know that, like, the full breadth of the human experience, that's the important part, right? Like, it's not longevity. There's that one phrase that's like, I at the end of my life, I want to know that I have lived the breadth of my life and not just the length of my life. And that includes a range of emotions, that includes a range of experiences. And the more you share, the more other people get to experience that too and know that it's okay. Right.
Yeah. Well, look at that, Graciela. Like, time has completely flown by.
Look at this. Oh my goodness. Well, we could talk forever. We always say that.
Talk forever.
Well, that's why the retreat's going to be so cool, because we will talk forever. Yay!
We will talk forever. We'll have some time for sleeping too, because we know sleeping is important. But...
Yes. So says the PT, I am, as always, ever so grateful to be on this journey with you. I hope and pray that all of our listeners feel a little bit better at the end of every broadcast, and hopefully take a little bit with them as they go.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, that's a wrap for today.
All right, goddesses, make it great. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today and keeping us in the top 10% of podcasts in the world. Ask us how you can promote your business on this podcast as a sponsor, and make sure you check out the show notes for details on how to get in touch with Julietta, Graciela, or today's special guest. We're sending you lots of love and gratitude. Have a magical day.